Hey, what's going on, guys? Meteorologist Jonathan Caicos with you. On Sunday evening, we continue to watch Category 1 Hurricane Fiona, the center at least, pulling away now from Puerto Rico. We can be thankful for that, but as we all know, if you are watching from the island, the catastrophic flooding continues. We're going to look at some storm reports that have come in over the past few hours. The entire island is under a flash flood warning until at least late tonight. The reports of water rescues going on, especially in and around San Juan and the eastern side. We're taking a relative break on parts of the western island. But the fire hose, if you were with us earlier or if you were with us yesterday on one of our videos, we were talking about really this part here, this just steady stream of heavy rain post the storm making landfall. So if you are watching from Puerto Rico or the Dominican Republic, we are going to focus our live time together, especially on Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic, as the center is going to head towards the Dominican over the next 12 hours. So our conditions are going to continue to get worse. And really, our conditions in Puerto Rico are going to stay extremely nasty for the next several hours, really through most of the overnight and into early tomorrow morning, early Monday morning. So mentioned before that it's been extremely rough. We're going to go over some storm reports. Again, you have seen massive amounts of rain. I'm going to show you radar estimates as well, and then we're going to go over the track. We're going to go over the some of the impacts that we're going to feel on the Dominican Republic as well. But really, until further notice, the center of Fiona is going to continue to lift towards the eastern side of the Dominican Republic, and that is just going to yank all of this Caribbean moisture right on up into Puerto Rico. That's also going to continue to stream into Culebra to the east, into the Virgin Islands as well, although things are improving a little bit on the Virgin Islands. We're going to get a little closer now. I'm going to show you some of the river gauges. I know I'm throwing out a bunch of stuff of things that I'm going to show you, but I know we were talking earlier to a lot of people that were on the island that had family members in and around some of the major rivers there. And a lot of them are unfortunately in major flood stage after a couple of extra hours. So the storm reports that I'm showing you here, they go back 6 hours. So some of these have already happened, and I'm not sure if they're completely in real time. I think I'll actually go ahead and change that to more recent storm reports here. The breaking details, of course, by now you likely all know that the entire island, unless you have a generator, does not have power because the winds have taken out the entire grid. So again, that is 1.5 million people, give or take, without power tonight, again, unless you have a generator. So that is one of the extreme emergencies that we are watching here in Puerto Rico. Just give me a second, bear with me. I'm going to change the storm reports to get some more. I'm going to make them within 3 hours, the last 3 hours, rather than the last 6 hours, so that we have more fresh stuff and I'm not giving you old time. And I don't know if that's a good thing or not, that we haven't seen a lot of storm reports within the last 3 hours. So here we have a 911 report coming in here that we have Yabuco is flooded. Call 5 in Yabuco. So I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. But you can just see the massive amounts of rain that continues to pour in on the eastern side of the island. Again, Ponce, that's where we recorded the 103 mile per hour wind gusts, and we actually had, after we got off, we recorded more wind gusts of over 100 miles an hour. So for those watching that's not in Puerto Rico, when you say, oh, it's just a category 1, tell that to the people that are living in Puerto Rico. Again, multiple wind gusts of over 100 miles an hour. And again, the catastrophic flooding. We talked all last week that flooding would be the main concern and then the winds on top of that. So, I mean, when you're talking about 100 miles an hour not being the main concern, you know that the flooding is going to be bad here. Again, we're taking a relative break on the western side of the island. There are scattered downpours and thunderstorms moving into Ponce, moving into the western side of Puerto Rico. That's where we had the landfall earlier today. But again, at least in terms of the rain, a relative lull in the action. Again, not the same case on the eastern side. I'm going to back up and show you one time for some of the new viewers that are just joining the stream. Welcome to the stream. If you want to post in the comments where you are watching from, I know we had a lot of people from the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico when we did this as the hurricane was coming ashore. So feel free to post in the comments where you're watching from. And if you have friends and family on the island, feel free to share this with them as well, as I know that they don't have power, and hopefully they have charged their devices so that they continue to watch YouTube or their local media outlets for sure going forward. So again, there is all of the water that is continuing to stream in from the south. And again, this is something that we are going to be dealing with for the next several hours. So this is not something that is going to let up in the next couple of hours. So unfortunately for our friends in Puerto Rico, a very, very long night ahead. The wind, relatively speaking, will back off gradually overnight, but it's the rain. Again, there's really no end in sight. It's going to just be extremely intense over the next several hours. What I want to do now is show you the radar estimated rainfall amounts since the storm started. Really late last night for some of us on the eastern side of the island, and earlier this morning for most of Puerto Rico. You're seeing where we have these purples. I'm going to turn on the microscope here. And unfortunately, the forecast we talked about, we could see upwards of 2 feet or more of rain. The radar is estimating here. And earlier, I was talking to somebody that was in the central part of Puerto Rico that had picked up already a foot of rain. And there was obviously still more to come. So you see they're in and around Arroyo, the radar estimating anywhere from 12 to 15 inches of rain. Going further up into inland Puerto Rico, Calle, 10 inches to 12 inches of rain. Go down to Santa Isabel, 8 to 10 inches of rain being estimated there. These are the radar estimates, not official totals. Nonetheless, it's been raining insane for the last several hours. Again, just north of us in Ponce, about 10 to 12 inches of rain. We'll go up to the northwest side of the island. And again, it's crazy to say that 3 inches of rain is better, but we're in that 3 to 5 inch ballpark in and around Isabela and on the northwest corner of Puerto Rico. So you clearly see in and around San Sebastian. We had some family in San Sebastian. Again, relatively speaking, a little better. But again, as you see there, those green lines, flash flood warnings continue for basically the entire island of Puerto Rico. So you need to know that if you have family there. I'm sure they know what's going on in terms of what they are feeling. But again, just a really, really awful situation unfolding here. And we're really focused on the eastern side of Puerto Rico now, where, as expected, unfortunately, the heavy rain is focusing on tonight, where you're seeing there the radar estimates of about 15 inches, just incredible amounts of rain. We'll go a little bit further north into San Juan. And again, relatively speaking, a little bit better. We are still seeing flash flooding. We are seeing those flooding reports. So again, it's all about the terrain. The terrain is helping to enhance some of the, I keep on saying relatively speaking, because it's all very, very high. but in around San Juan, more like 3 to 6 inches. Again, those are radar estimates. Some of the terrain could be making those numbers come in a little bit lower, but then you see east of San Juan, more like 8 to 10 inches being estimated there on radar as flooding continues. I want to bring up another browser here. This is going to be from the National Weather Service in San Juan. We are going to look at some river gauges. And again, you'd never want to see red or purple, especially. But we have several rivers in major flood stage. I know we had family in and around Bayamon, Rio de la Plata. Latest observed value on the Rio de La Plata near to Alta. Keep in mind here, this is the latest observation as of 7:45 local time. The flood stage is 16 feet. Okay, we are at 25 feet. That's where the river is here. So again, if you know anybody in and around Rio de la Plata near So Alta, that's what we have going on at this time. So major flooding reported. We're going to check some of these other gauges here. Just have to wait for the computer to load as, again, the heavy rain continues. And a lot of this on the eastern side of the island. We do have a few rivers on the western side in major flood stage, and we're going to get over there as well. So the same river, Rio de la Plata, below the La Plata Dam. We're recording the latest observation at about 7:20, so just about an hour ago. Coming in at 33 feet. Flood stage is 16 feet. Record flood stage for perspective is at 42.3 feet. So to put that into perspective here, we are at 33 feet. And again, the impacts with this, once the river gets to 25 feet, car 861 is closed near area de Madril. And more flooding is on car 693. So again, once you start to get to that 25-foot mark, that's when things really start to get nasty. And we are almost 10 feet above that right now. So again, we've got some nasty, very extremely dangerous stuff going on. And again, I don't use the word catastrophic lightly here, but that is unfortunately what is going on Puerto Rico. Again, we can't catch a break. Thinking about you guys, if you are tuning in from Puerto Rico, of course, we're coming up on the 5-year anniversary, if you will, of Hurricane Maria. This was never going to be that in terms of the wind, but the rain is just doing it. This gauge here is the true definition of a flash flood. This is at the Rio Grande de Manati. And you see the jump there in the gauge, just looking at things. I mean, we went from not flood stage up to 21 feet. So I hope that anybody that was living here was paying very, very close attention to how this river was behaving, because this is when flooding turns deadly, when there is a rise in the water like this. Extremely sharp, extremely fast, extremely violent. Again, we are at 16.56. It looks like this is already crested, so this must be a smaller waterway for those that are familiar with it watching. And again, please, if you're watching, comment where you're watching from this morning, especially if you're in and around or on Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic. Flood stage going to be at 10 feet here. We are still above flood stage, but that water is starting to come down from an earlier crest of 21.24 feet. So hopefully everybody got away from that river in time. Take a look at one more gauge here. This is the same river. We are still in major flood stage. It is showing signs of coming down. This is still the Rio Grande. This is going to be near San Sebastian, so a little further southwest down the river than what we were just looking at. And again, major flood stage at 19 feet. We are currently at 25 feet, but it looks like that has also crested at this time as well. So again, at 20 feet, and we are 5 feet above that, flooding can be expected downstream in Barrio Espino within a couple of hours. And it says here, this is again from historic crests in the past, that evacuations may be necessary once you get up to 20 feet. So we crested 5 feet above that, and we are still at 20 feet. We crested 6 feet above that. So it's gradually coming down, but we're still in major flood stage for us near San Sebastian. So again, just giving you an idea of what is going on Puerto Rico right now. These poor people do not have power unless they have a generator. And the extreme flooding is only going to get worse, especially on the eastern side of Puerto Rico. So the Rio Garabo, Acarabo, it looks like we have crested, at least for the time being. At least there was a slowdown, but we have that extra push of rain coming in, and I'll show you the radar again in a second. But we are currently at 28.39 feet here on the Rio Garabo at Garabo. Just checking to see if they don't list any historical crest in terms of the impacts there, but I can just imagine that they are not pretty. As we continue here. If you have any questions, again, feel free to post them in the comments. If you are watching or have friends and family on the island, we're just going through some of the river gauges here, and then I'll show you radar one last time. I will do a quick path update from the 8 o'clock advisory from the National Hurricane Center. We're going to take a look at the southeast. And it looks like we do have some of the rivers coming back down a little bit, but I wouldn't let your guard down yet, and I'm going to show you why. Some of the heaviest rain is yet to come as the radar loads back in. And then you see it there. So again, we do have heavy rain on the West Coast. It's more scattered on the West Coast. There's the center of Fiona. Way out here now, it has kind of did a thing like this. It's heading for the Dominican Republic, and I'm going to show you that latest track in a second. But this very heavy rainfall on the east side of Puerto Rico, that is going to continue all night, guys. I wish I had better news. It's at least going to be a little more scattered, and things are going to be a little bit better, improve somewhat for us on the western side. But the eastern side is going to continue to get pounded. So if the rivers have started to come down a little bit in some cases, it's not all the cases, they may go back up again, as this is extremely heavy rain coming through the eastern side of Puerto Rico. I am now going to turn on the satellite because we have lost daylight, of course. And now we're going to look towards what is going to be heading in the direction of the Dominican Republic. We are up next. We've had nasty weather all day. Talked to a couple of people from the Dominican Republic on this channel a couple of hours ago, and they were talking about how already the conditions were getting nasty, and the center of the storm was still south and east of Puerto Rico. So, I mean, just goes to show what is going on here. I'm gonna zoom this back out. A lot of crazy colors on this map here. We are on the high resolution radar here, and I want. All right, so this is what this is the radar scan that I was looking for, and you can see here just how intense, and these are very intense thunderstorms back here on the trailing end of Fiona. And again, all of that is moving into eastern Puerto Rico. Here is now the center. It has moved off of Puerto Rico. So again, conditions will improve on the western side of the island. We do have some drier air kind of getting wrapped in, and that is heading up towards Ponce, where we got nailed with those strong wind gusts, the very heavy rain. But that is leading to things being a little more scattered in nature on the west side of the island in terms of the rainfall. Now, Eastern Dominican Republic, we are going to be up next in terms of the conditions. I can imagine the winds are already gusting well north of tropical storm force. Here is the center. And again, it's likely going to track in this direction. I'm going to turn on the official forecast for you from the National Hurricane Center, the official forecast cones. I'm just heading to my toolbox here. Going to turn on the track and the forecast information. So if you guys are watching from the Dominican Republic or have family there, I want to give you an update for the Dominican Republic. This is the center is likely going to stay east of Santo Domingo, but we are going to be impacted. We've already felt those impacts today. The forecast, again, going to get this very, very close. It could come on shore, so we could have an official landfall in the Dominican Republic overnight tonight. Regardless, the conditions are going to be nasty, but you see a strengthening system forecast here. A 90-mile-per-hour hurricane with gusts of 115 miles an hour. This is as of 2 o'clock in the morning on Monday morning, so about 6 hours from now. It finally picks up speed a little bit, but you see it getting stronger. Now a Category 2 hurricane by 2 o'clock on the 19th of September. And then going to get very, very close. Again, we're going to watch this extremely close for you guys if you're watching from the Turks and Caicos, especially the extreme southeast Turks and Caicos. We are going to see Fiona likely be at its strongest point of its life and continuing to get stronger overnight on the 20th. So in 2 days from now. And then we're going to have to watch this. Really, I have the high res data on, so we just have a little square carved out. That's why I'm losing satellite data as I go further north. But I just wanted to show you here that Bermuda, we were just on guard for Earl last week, and we are going to have to be on guard again for Fiona, because we are going to have a strong hurricane potentially closing in on Category 4 status, getting very, very close to the island of Bermuda. And this is going to be as we get towards the 22nd and 23rd. So there's still a few more days to watch this for you guys. In the short term, we're really watching this again for our friends in Puerto Rico, but in the Dominican Republic and into the Turks and Caicos, the extreme southeast Turks and Caicos. But you see it there. There's 2 o'clock on the 22nd. Fiona's getting very, very close to us. Once again on the island of Bermuda. So it looks like we have a better shot to be on the right side of this storm as well, which is obviously not a good thing. The right side is the worst side of the storm to be on. We call that the dirty side of the storm. It's where you can get tornadoes and water spouts. And it's where we have the enhanced wind and the enhanced storm surge, depending upon the direction that it's coming in. So we have a higher potential. Again, here is Bermuda, and we are well within the cone as we move into the 22nd and 23rd. So again, just keep that in mind. Make sure if you're tuning in from Bermuda, please be paying close attention to these forecasts. And again, we're going to continue to highlight this for you on this channel. So if you would like to stay updated on not just this storm, we talk all things weather on this channel. It's been tropics heavy as of late because the tropics have unfortunately come to life. It's been a very quiet season to date, as we all know. But again, in this situation, it only takes one. And we are seeing that now for our friends in Puerto Rico that are just being inundated with this flooding and very, very strong winds from Hurricane Fiona that came ashore officially this afternoon in southwest Puerto Rico. So there is the official track. Going to get very, very close to the Dominican Republic later on tonight. We are certainly watching those. We are watching the conditions already deteriorate, going downhill. They're going to continue to get worse overnight. I know we have a bunch of new viewers, so one more time, I want to just check in on the radar because that's where we're seeing the most immediate situation. And I want to be sure that friends and family know what exactly is going on. They know what's going on because they are living it, but just to give them more of a heads up, if they're hoping that this is going to let up for the eastern side of the island, it unfortunately isn't. It's a little bit better on the western side of the island. Hey, Callie, what's going on? Hope you are safe if you are tuning in from Puerto Rico or the Dominican Republic. Thanks for tuning in. Gonna get you some more information if you're watching from Puerto Rico. But again, it's always been about the rain. The wind was just adding the insult to injury. And boy, we saw those wind gusts come in extremely strong, over 100 miles an hour on the west side of the island. I'm going to put this into motion. And again, on the west side of Puerto Rico, it's more scattered. It's still windy. Conditions are improving. I know it's not saying much, but it's better than it was a few hours ago on the west side. There will still be pockets of heavy rain and thunderstorms. You see those here as those kind of pinwheel around the center that is now moving towards the Dominican Republic. And then as the center of low pressure from Fiona is moving northwest, it's just pulling in a ton of moisture from the Gulf of Mexico. From the Caribbean. It's moving to the west. It's not going into the Gulf of Mexico, but it's pulling in a ton of moisture from the Caribbean and just throwing it right back at us on the eastern side of Puerto Rico. And you see all that green there. Most of the island is under a flash flood warning. There's been flooding reported, road closures, water rescues, you name it. Again, as expected, unfortunately, this continues to slide on through. Alrighty, guys, I want to thank you for tuning in to this live stream. I wish that we were talking under better conditions and that this was staying out to sea. That is obviously not the case. And again, it wasn't expected to remain a fish storm this time around, but the impacts here are extremely high and they will continue to be extremely high on the eastern side of the island for the remainder of the overnight. So it's going to be a long night for our friends in Puerto Rico. We are thinking about you. Again, make sure that you have a way to continue to be alerted. If you live near any kind of waterway, it's best to just get away from that at this point because these rivers are rising and they will continue to do so. On the western side of the island, rain will be heavy at times. Not like the fire hose, though, that we are seeing on the eastern and central part of Puerto Rico. Eventually, tomorrow morning, some of this gets dragged back the west in your direction. But it's a little more of a lull in the action as some drier air gets pulled up into the western side of Puerto Rico. Hang in there, guys. By the time we get into tomorrow afternoon, even on the eastern side, we're still going to be dealing with rain, but it is going to be better. Dominican Republic is going to be dealing with the worst of their weather over the next couple of hours and in the early morning hours of Monday. I am going to hop back on here tomorrow at about 10 o'clock Eastern time, around 10 o'clock local time as well. If if you're interested in that weather information, please subscribe. We would love to have you here and would love to see what you are seeing when you can do so safely. And again, you can post that in the comments. Again, I'm going to have that live stream fired up at 10 o'clock local time to give an update on what is going on, where we are at with the radar picture, with the rain, and where this is headed in terms of the center for the Dominican Republic and where we stand. Hurricane Hunter aircraft are up there as well, getting some of the latest data as Fiona continues to show signs of additional strengthening. Yes. Jorge, if you're tuning in from there, sorry about that, and welcome. We were talking a lot about the U.S. Virgin Islands earlier. I failed to mention them a lot here. I hope that you are doing well, and I hope that you are safe at this time, and I hope that everything is going okay. But yeah, real quick again, I will show you what's going on in the Virgin Islands, both the U.S. and British Virgin Islands. Radar a little bit far away, but we can still see that there is extremely heavy rain moving into the Virgin Islands. The heaviest is off to our east, but we are going to watch for some of this junk to kind of lift up into this direction closer to Culebra and then getting into the Virgin Islands as well, into St. Thomas. Again, things are quieting down in places like Guadeloupe and into Dominica, into parts of the Leeward Islands, but still certainly not the best of times right now either in St. Thomas and into the U.S. Virgin Islands. So again, thank you, Jorge, for that. We talked a lot about you a couple of hours ago, but I failed to mention that because we have all the heaviest rain now, but it's still not a walk in the park by any means. And again, I hope you are not experiencing any damage or anything like that, and I hope that you are safe. Once again, guys, if you are interested, I'm planning on going live at around 10 o'clock again tomorrow to give the latest radar update. I know really all of Puerto Rico has no power right now unless you're operating a generator. So if you have a way to charge your phone or charge anything, subscribe to this channel. I will give you the latest radar tour of what is going on the Virgin Islands, on St. Thomas, on the Dominican Republic, on Puerto Rico, and then where this is headed in terms of the Turks and Caicos, and then in Bermuda a couple of days down the line. Again, a nasty night going to continue here for eastern Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, although things will get better for us. Things will get better for us as well in the Virgin Islands later tonight. Jorge, are you seeing any flooding or damage? I hope everything is okay for you in Puerto Rico. I'm thinking about you guys as we are watching this, just kind of feeling helpless, knowing again how heavy that rain is and how strong the wind is. And just I'm just checking the Twitter sphere to see what is going on, to see if there are any more storm reports that I can pass along. I'm outside. Well, stay safe. Watch out for those trees blowing around. I know that can get you, so be very, very careful if you are outside. And again, if you're on the eastern side, make sure you're staying away from the water as well, of course. Please stay safe, my man. Please stay safe. And anybody from watching that's being impacted by this hurricane, please stay safe. Again, I will catch you guys at about 10 o'clock tomorrow. Gonna plan on firing this up, another live stream here to give you an update, and hopefully things look better. Yeah, Daniel, I don't know where you're watching from, and that's the thing. You know, it doesn't take a category 3, 4, or 5 to dump rain. In Texas in 2001, Allison dropped 40 inches of rain, got retired as a tropical storm. So that's why one of the things we always preach is to not focus so much on the category. but on the impacts. This one also happened to bring 100-mile-per-hour winds in addition to it, but just like Harvey, which did kind of unexpectedly rapidly intensify into a Category 4 hurricane into Texas, it was always going to dump 40, 50, 60 inches of rain, regardless of how strong that storm actually got. So it doesn't take a powerhouse of a hurricane to dump a lot of rain, especially when you're near a water source, and especially when you're having this meteorological setup right now where literally we call this the fire hose, where it is just the steady stream of rain moving right on in, even though the center of the storm now is kind of unraveling and moving away from Puerto Rico. So, I mean, as you mentioned, they're just going to get worse. And we hope they don't. We hope they stay out at sea. We always hope that. But anyway, all right. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, I'll be on here at about 10 o'clock. We're going to go over the radar again in real time. We're going to talk about where Fiona is and the heavy rain that is likely still going to be falling on parts of Puerto Rico. And then we're going to try to time that out for you to let you know when things are going to improve. So that'll be about 10 o'clock tomorrow. If you are interested in that, please like the video, please subscribe to this, and please share this with your friends that may be looking for information if they are in Puerto Rico. I know they're having a rough time with the power situation and the flooding situation, but I just want to thank you guys for tuning in, and I hope that everybody that is watching and being impacted by Fiona is staying safe tonight and that their friends and family are safe. Just know that we are thinking about you and we are praying for you guys, and hope that everything turns out well in a pretty awful situation. So hang in there, guys. By tomorrow afternoon, things are at least going to be improving for all of Puerto Rico, even though there will still be some heavy rain around. We'll catch you at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Subscribe if you are interested in that.